So every time I watch a video of people getting shot,
You get an erection.
I side immediately with whoever's pulling guns on the police. Because it's like a... No, for me, it's more just like like hoorah, sort of American, like
hoorah, shoot the police.
Well, just like it's like a throwback to our Wild West days, like where was this country was really founded.
Nothing says yeehaw.
Yeah,
like a 350 guy pulling 2.9mm getting shot. Where, a hotel?
A motel, like just anytime a dude is just like, guns out, like, I'm dying tonight. I'm like, yeah, God bless the last gunslinger.
Land of the free, home of the braves.
Exactly. But it turns out we got a lot of those. So anyway, this time is one of the rare times where I side with the other way. Because the Seattle PD pull up on a known pedophile's house.
Good.
So he's done stuff, right?
Yeah.
So bad guy. And he basically answers the door and they're ready. And he answers the door with a gun. And he just immediately goes to start blowing people away. And they have to just grab his arm, shove him backwards, and start unloading into him in the front door of his house.
I think that would have fixed all of Diddy's problems if that's how he had dealt with the police instead of disappearing to Florida.
Is that where he is?
I think that's where he disappeared to, because they were looking. It's like, oh, his plane left like this airport, and but then like his boat, like he was legitimately trying to juke the police. It was like he like had a guy in his boat, sending his boat out to sea. He had a guy in his plane. It's like, send the plane out. It's like, where's Diddy going? And he was just in one of his houses in the U.S.
What did Diddy do?
We'll find out.
Well, we know. I think we all have a pretty good idea.
Does Ridley Scott know?
Ridley Scott, believe it or not, is the one person who doesn't know.
He didn't even know who Diddy was until he saw the police at his house. Look at Ridley Scott and tell me he knows who Diddy is.
Oh, he doesn't.
No. Which is so funny to me, to live in like a pop culture zeitgeist. Because like, I imagine once you're in it, like once you're Ridley Scott, been doing it forever, you're not absorbing pop culture, you're making pop culture. So, like, do you think Diddy has ever seen a Ridley Scott movie?
Yeah. I don't know that he understood it, but I guarantee Diddy saw Gladiator and thought that shit was sick.
Yeah.
I mean, like, something I think about is when someone gets a certain age, it's pretty common to assume they'll be out of pop culture. Like, oh, he's old, he's not paying attention.
This guy didn't see The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
I did.
I'm still kind of interested in it.
It's not even terrible. It has David Dasmalchian.
Is that how you pronounce it?
It's how I pronounce it.
My dad always pronounced it Dasmalchian.
Okay, well that could be right too, because I'm the kind of guy that calls him Cillian Murphy. So
Dasmalchian?
I say Dasmalchian.
Dasmalchian.
But also, I for a long time thought it was redo, not redux, and I just assumed it was French.
There would be a few extra letters in there.
Yeah.
There'd be an EA.
But anyway, Last Voyage of the Demeter is not terrible. It's not great. It's like a solid 5 out of 10, but it's a vampire on a boat.
It looked like, in all honesty, I don't know how bad the CGI is, because there's gonna be CG blood. There's gonna, like, that's just kind of par for the course with movies nowadays. But I mean, like, the set looks good. Like, it looks like a good boat set.
It's got a decent boat set. The CGI is a lot of times dark, wet, and rainy, so it gets by pretty easily. Because those make it, you cover up a lot of like FX foibles when it's like,
yeah, if the face doesn't look good, just throw a shadow on that.
Exactly. Grimy, jump scare, move on. David Dasmalchian.
David Dasmalchian. We gotta watch Late Night with the Devil.
I've seen it.
Damn it.
It's not good.
Okay.
And they used AI art.
Oh, fuck that then.
And it's also just not good.
Okay. That sucks. Because the trailer looked so good.
Yeah, here's the thing. It's got the 70s aesthetic. It's not made like a 70s horror movie at all.
No, I didn't imagine it would be.
But it doesn't feel 70s. It feels just...
They're just in 70s suits.
Yeah, and you're like, okay.
They're on the set of a 70s talk show.
Yeah.
Or Johnny Carson.
And then it has points that legitimately feel like they're supposed to be scary. They feel like a Tim and Eric bit. There's a point where they're asking to rewind footage to see if there was a ghost, and they're like, rewind? Rewind? All right, rewind slower. All right, now take it frame by frame. And then it cuts to a frame, and there's just a ghost standing next to him in the image, and they're all like, oh my God.
See, I was imagining that as like an Eric Andre bit. He keeps asking him to rewind, and it's just him throwing up over and over again in slow motion.
It would be exactly like it's what it feels like.
Have we even done an intro for this episode?
We'll get there. Oh, when
okay.
people get old,
Yeah.
you assume they stop paying attention to pop culture, and it's common. But I've noticed there's a lot of people who are incredible at what they do, who don't disconnect. I'm not saying they are at every fucking Marvel movie or whatever, but they stay up to date. Like music producers stay up to date on what's popular. They can appreciate music, new music, old music, whatever. They're consistently part of the zeitgeist. Even though they're still making things, they're not shutting themselves off and isolating themselves in one time period or the time period where they evolved between their 20s and their 30s or their 40s. And then now that they're 50 plus, they lock in and just like, that's their style. They don't do that. And I saw an interview excerpt, not saw an interview, but it was a
written excerpt.
Excerpt from a Buster Keaton, where he, in the 60s, was going to Hollywood parties of all the people from the silent movie era, and he was finding out that they weren't watching movies. They were still like going to their old Hollywood parties and just reminiscing about the silent movie era and all that stuff. And he was confused. He was like, you're not interested in the new stuff? Like there's this vibrant world of Hollywood. Like old Hollywood to them was new Hollywood.
Yeah, like 60s Hollywood, you know, I will give Quentin Tarantino that 60s to 70s Hollywood was good output.
And so he's in like parties with these people as they're old, as they're in their 70s or whatever, and they're just totally disconnected, and that shocked him. And he's someone who like revolutionizes cinema, right? Like he's comedic and stuff, but the stunts he's doing, all this stuff, and anyone with that type of mind understands that other people will innovate too, and so you can never disconnect if you want to see something truly interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so my hope is Ridley Scott knows who Diddy is. Welcome to KAFM. I am John.
And I'm Duncan.
KAFM stands for Kill All Film Majors.
Stands for...
Welcome to Kill All Film Majors. It's KAFM.
You're not going to let that one slide where I make fun of you?
Oh, okay. I'll leave it in.
You sounded like Tom Hanks in Forrest Gump.
I haven't seen Forrest Gump.
I'll make a list.
Basically, it's his filmography.
Yes. No, Forrest Gump, in my opinion, not even like in his top 10 films. I think Forrest Gump is mad overrated.
Give me 3, 2, 1 Hanks.
3, 2, 1 Hanks. Just off the dome. The Terminal.
As 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
Terminal's number 3. Toy Story 3.
Oh, as 2.
And Philadelphia.
Okay. Does Toy Story 3 star Tom Hanks? Is he one of the...
He's Woody. He's the main...
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's the main toy.
The main... I thought the main toy was Buzz.
No. So the main character of the series has always been like the... Because like in the first movie, he is like the old guard kind of like toy. Like he was the favorite of the kid, and then the new hot shit comes in. So it's like this old guy coming to... The story's legitimately just this guy coming to terms with the fact that you're not going to be in the zeitgeist forever.
You can be, though.
You can
pay
be
attention.
if you're Elton John.
Buster Keaton.
Elton Buster Keaton John.
Is Elton John in the zeitgeist?
Yeah, no, he collabs with tons of young artists because he described it as like they always come up with something new and interesting because they're new ears to music.
That's literally what I just said.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm happy. I'm not calling you out. I'm like,
Elton John shares this
Okay.
same mentality. Like he collabed with like Lil Nas X for his album.
okay. Has Lil Nas X made a good song?
I liked half of his debut album.
Okay. I liked half of one song ish, and then I was like, eh.
I mean, like I like songs like fucking like Panini, Industry Baby.
Did he make a song called Panini?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know the songs' names as much as I've just heard them and been like, oh my god.
Montero, I think, was overplayed a bit on the radio, but
I only know him for his cringe shoe. His
yeah,
knockoff Nike that he put blood in.
yeah, and that people got fucking mad about.
It's just so lame to put blood in a shoe like that. For no reason. Tony Hawk put blood in a skateboard because he bled in a skateboard. So he did a run of 10 with his blood mixed in the ink. Kiss in 1970 whatever
The comic book.
put blood in a comic book.
Yeah.
It's so outdated to put your blood in stuff. All right? Put your cum in it.
Yeah, hey, Lil Nas X, you want to do something for the LGBTQIA plus community? Put cum and stuff. You good?
Wait, what did you say? LGBT?
QIA plus.
What's IA?
Intersex, asexual.
Oh, okay.
Don't let anybody fucking tell you A stands for ally, because that is asexual erasure. Get the fuck out of here. If you want to be
stands for ally?
people, there are allies who believe that A stands for ally. It's like, we're here too. Get the fuck out of here.
That's awesome. That's so funny to look at a movement and be like, I support it, but I'm gonna need a letter. Like, I'm not going home without nothing. I'm at like the Black Lives Matter rallies with little white W's added as well. Like, are you kidding me? You gotta. That's awesome. That's hilarious. That's such a perfect encapsulation of like support exchange. Like, I don't actually support your cause. I support your cause as long as I'm also in it. Like, I can't ever just support something that's not me.
Yeah,
bumasses.
it's super fucking selfish, and it's no.
That's awesome.
It's awful.
That's great. Fucking, I'm part of the LGBTQ community because I don't hate gay people. I just go to gay clubs and I clap.
Has the episode started? Are we in it?
We're always in it. My life is an episode. Doctors say it's gonna be when one kills me.
Oh no, he's having an episode.
Yeah.
You're just like,
Season 2, Doctor!
have we been approved for a season 2?
We haven't been approved for this, even. They're
They'll
trying to
never-
shut us down constantly.
They'll never catch us.
Uh-huh.
Every episode we're changing locations, setting the VPN to a new South American country.
Mm-hmm.
They'll never catch us.
How many South American countries can you name?
Like right now?
Yeah. Top 3 South American countries off
Top
the dome
3 South
piece.
American countries. Brazil, because they fucking love them some football.
Yeah.
Chile, because it's got a funny shape.
Number 1,
Argentina, because it's got penguins.
Argentina has oh yeah, I forget about that sometimes. They have penguins. Did they trade? Is it like a trade-off though, with like functioning government or penguins?
I'd take that trade.
Would you?
Yeah, I mean, America's already kind of fallen apart, so if we just get penguins...
Yeah, we've fallen apart, but we're not like, it seems like that, right? We have fallen apart. But then you like look at videos of them like wheelbarrowing dollars in Uganda or whatever, just because it's so worthless. It costs $80 billion to buy a loaf of bread. And I'm like, it could be worse.
Oh yeah, it could be much worse. Like, I don't want to say that from the perspective of... Like, clearly that's speaking from the perspective of, I live in America, all I've known is American way of life.
Yeah.
But, like, no, it is, like, I would say it's worse over, like, 75% of the world where the economy is garbage because anything south of the equator white people don't care about.
Do they need white people to care about them?
White people make the money. White people have placed themselves... Believe it or not, white people have placed themselves in very prominent positions of power all over
I'm
the
aware
world.
of that, but it sounds a little white savior-y to me.
And maybe it is. That's not for me to figure out. Believe it or not,
If you're
I'm not
currently
gonna be,
wheelbarrowing your money to the store to buy a loaf of bread, please send us an email at KAFM Podcast
Let us
to
know
let
in
us
the
know if you
comments of the
need
YouTube
white
section.
help.
Let us know in the comment section of this YouTube sound.
YouTube sound.
It's not a video.
So this week we watched 2 movies, both in theaters, for Box Office Bomb Squad. One of which technically isn't bombing, but it's close enough. And the first one we talked about probably won't be like bombing by our standards by the time it finishes its box office run anyway. So we'll call it. The first being Fall Guy.
Yeah, David Leitch.
The second being Challengers.
Yeah, John Krasinski.
Who?
It's the writer of the movie.
Oh, I thought it was the guy from The Office.
No, that's John Krasinski. It's John Krasinski.
John Krasinski.
Starring Crank 3.
Don't tempt me. I don't want him in it. I want Jason Statham, but I'll take a Crank 3.
What if we took Jason Statham and then digitally youngened him, made it like a prequel?
He would look exactly the same.
No, he'd look like he'd be made of plastic.
No, there was already a plastic Crank. Jason Statham. He's rubber technically, but
what?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a cartoon rubber Jason Statham character in Crank 2.
I've never seen Crank.
It's so good, and then Crank 2 is nonsense.
But that doesn't mean it's not good.
No, Crank 2 is the modern day Gremlins 2, and I mean that with the highest praise.
Damn.
A sequel where they're like, I don't really want to make this, and the last one wrapped everything up, so let's just make it anyway.
Yeah, so Fall Guy and Challengers, which I guess in a weird way are meant to be love letters to the subject matter.
Yes, for Fall Guy, we'll debate Challengers.
Okay. I feel like there's going to be a lot of debating with Challengers.
Interesting to start our summer. Fall Guy makes sense, right? Start the summer off with one of those, a Fall Guy.
Yeah.
Challengers' release timing was good. And maybe it's released in like the springtime because it's tennis based.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, we're getting out into the world again. Everything is new
Thank
and vibrant.
God. I had my finger on the fucking trigger for a minute there.
That seasonal depression.
It's Washington's already a rainy area, very gray. I remember one time I was talking with my grandfather on the phone, and he goes, "What's the weather like over there?" And I hear my grandmother yell, "50 and cloudy, like it always is." And she's across the country, and sure enough, I look outside my window, and it's 50 degrees and cloudy. So it's like a permanent seasonal depression that got worse when it was dark and rainy for like a week and a half.
Damn.
Thankfully, Fall Guy was here to show me it could be so much worse.
You did not like Fall Guy?
I'm fucking around. It was fine.
It plays out like the most it's I found it very refreshing because it played out like an action movie I would have wanted when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's very like, oh, there's there's the love story of, oh, he's got to win her back, but they play it like they don't play it like the woman is a prize to be won like so many of these fucking like action movies do. It's like, if I just kill the terrorist, a girl will love me. It's played out like two people who want that connection.
Yeah, it is interesting that because the movie starts with Ryan Gosling is a stuntman in a romance with what's her name? Emily Blunt?
Yeah, John Krasinski's wife.
In real life?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Everybody wanted them to play Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic Four. Because they're married in real life, so they could play a married couple on screen.
Yeah, that's not how acting works, but okay.
I think it would have been fun, but...
Sure, but like... whatever. Anyway. I was about to be like, do I care to argue about Fantastic Four? No. Ryan Gosling is a stuntman. He's dating a camera operator, Emily Blunt. He has an injury, and they become estranged. And so their relationship after the opening 10 minutes is immediately, like, it already happened and then has ended. And so it's not the standard original 80s, 90s action movie, like Win the Girl or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's already been in a relationship with her. Like, they had a relationship, and so now it may or may not be rekindled, but he's not winning her back. Or he's winning her back, but he's not winning her back from someone. He's not fighting. It's two movies, because there's the action movie and there's the romance movie, and that's kind of my issue with it, where I'm not saying he's like, he should have won a girl, but the opening like 40 minutes or 30 minutes, nothing action even happens. It's just romance setup.
I don't, but see, in my opinion, I don't think it needed to happen because the point of the movie, you know, shining the director David Leitch is a former stuntman himself, turned very successful director. Deadpool 2, Bullet Train, which in my opinion is still his best work. I fucking love Bullet Train.
Bullet Train's good. He is the master of mid.
Really?
Yeah, like they're good movies. They're enjoyable.
They're always at least a solid like 7 at like I would say of the 3 I just named, Deadpool 2 is probably my least favorite, but Deadpool 2 is still like a solid 7 out of 10 for me. It's an above average comic book movie to me. When so many of them are horrible.
What did you give Bullet Train then? If Deadpool 2
Bullet Train's almost like a 9 out of 10. Bullet Train's almost a perfect movie to me. Genuinely. Post-divorce Brad Pitt that's down to being whatever.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'd rather have fun with a movie than an interesting character study.
I mean,
I'd rather enjoy my 2 hours than think about it for 3.
I think movies have different purposes.
Yeah.
And Bullet Train fulfills its purpose, but it doesn't do anything that really like blows me away. Like, it's a good action movie, and Brad Pitt's funny, and then I'm like, yeah.
Everybody in that movie, like, it's one of those movies, if everybody in the movie understood the assignment, like, sometimes you'll watch a movie, and there'll be, like, a couple performances where it's like, I don't think they got, you know, what the movie, everybody understood the tone of the movie. I think David Leitch has a very good relationship. He's an actor's director, because he's an actor's director where since he has worked like under actors, you know, for most of his time as a stuntman or, you know, with them, I think he can communicate very effectively to his actors to get what he wants.
Okay, yeah. In that regard, yes, because he's clearly picking people that find the same joke he finds funny. Like they also find it funny.
Yeah.
So him and Ryan Gosling throughout Fall Guy found the same bits funny, so he feels right for the role. Whether or not those jokes are great, like sometimes when you hear actors director, you might think like they're bringing something out of the actors, or like really like, you know, like, oh my god,
this is a life. Nothing in this movie is career changing.
It's more just, yes, they all look like they're having fun, and they get like, this is the funny part, this is my character, this is the way we're gonna be funny in this movie. The opening 30 minutes is paced so weirdly because it sets up, and I was waiting for action stuff.
But the action's not real. He's a stuntman.
Well, sure, but it's he's going to have to go do real action is the crux of the movie.
Is it?
Well, no, the romance ends up being the crux of the movie.
Yeah.
But I'm saying when the action happens, it's like, oh, a stuntman now has to do real fights.
Yes.
And so I expect in an action movie, not a romance movie with action.
Okay.
So when the opening 30 minutes is just romance, I was like, brother, this movie's got to start at some point. And then it occurred to me, the movie already started because the inciting...
This is the A plot.
Yeah,
It's an inverse of a classic 80s action movie.
Which is strange to me because it wasn't marketed that way.
No, it was definitely marketed with the action.
Which I guess makes sense with the fans they're trying to draw. And David Leitch as a director. Bullet Train's an action movie. Deadpool 2's an action comedy. I mean, Bullet Train's an action comedy too. But like, he makes action comedies, or John Wick. And so everything he's done has been very action focused, and maybe this was him branching out, but it's weird to me that then you would market it as an action movie and not just do the action as the A plot. Because like, then the people watching your movie, like me, are like, bro, I don't know about this. Got 30 minutes of Emily Blunt working through her relationship troubles with Ryan Gosling. They're funny. It's funny back and forth, but I'm like, somebody better get hit.
Nah, I found there was never a point in this movie. So I saw this movie alone in the theater.
The whole theater?
No, I think about 5 minutes in, a guy came in and sat at the front row. So I'm in the very back row. Okay, if the theater's empty, I think you should be allowed to sit wherever you're comfortable, regardless of what your ticket says. So he goes all the way down. I'm not joking, front fucking row.
So he must have won. That's where he was comfortable.
I guess I would. That is too much screen right in front of me.
I do back row every time.
My neck would hurt after a while. No, that's just not worth it. But yeah, so I basically alone.
Yeah.
I had so much. I have never had more fun by myself. I'm gonna let that one hang for a second.
It's not the only thing you're hanging.
Yeah. No. It's
Never. Like in a theater, you're saying?
yeah. I've had like I could pick out like, oh, this was a bad theater experience. This was a bad theater experience.
Candyman. We went to see Candyman, and two drunk assholes talked the entire movie.
And ogled at
the scene where she's crying because her best friend's dead, and she's like half topless, being stripped by the police.
Yeah, no, just
and he's going ooh,
fucking clapping at breasts.
He may have even said boobies, like a fucking 14-year-old, and he was like 45.
Disgusting.
Yeah,
but yeah, so like. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is probably my worst theater experience.
Really?
Yeah, no, it was a bunch of things that just led to I'm surrounded on all sides by unbearable assholes.
He took off the mask and he was black and you got furious.
No.
You're like, that's not Spider-Man.
So, first of all, I think it's really fucking based that Marvel can just be like, oh, we don't need different names for them. They're both just Spider-Man. I think it's really fucking fun.
You're trying to save your reputation after my not real joke.
So, on one side of me, I had 2 children small enough to be sharing a seat.
Were they really literally?
They were literally sharing a seat. 2 children in one seat next to me.
That's tiny.
On my other side, I had a guy who was with the group behind us, so he was constantly turned around making jokes at the people behind us, and I'm just stuck there.
You said us. Are you seeing this movie with someone?
Yeah, I was seeing it with my ex.
So they're not sitting next to you?
Okay, I'm sorry. So it was me, my ex, and then the person.
The guy?
Yeah.
Okay, just because like...
No, they were across the theater.
The other reason it was the worst is I went with 6 people and they sat me alone next to children and losers.
Yeah, no, like it was one of those things where like I couldn't, because movie theaters can be fucking loud. Like the audio mixing in a theater can just be loud. I couldn't hear half the movie.
That's awesome. That's terrible for you.
Yeah, no, it genuinely worst theater experience of my life. I fucking hated it. But I can now pinpoint Fall Guy as just hanging out alone in the theater, having a great time with Ryan Gosling. I had a great time. Like, and it's sad to say that I think it's because whenever we see movies like as a group or like with people, it's usually because we know it's going to be bad. Hypnotic comes to mind. Madam Web comes to mind.
We did see both of those.
We paid
like Saturday prices for Hypnotic too. We paid like $15 a pop. It was AMC. We might have paid 16, 17.
Fucking ridiculous. It's like $15 on Blu-ray at Walmart now.
And we got some amount of food. AMC walked away with like $100 off of us seeing Hypnotic.
Jesus.
And they've got nice seats, but I don't see it. If I pull up my AMC app right now, it's gonna be like $16.50 for a movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I know like my partner likes the AMC theater because you can like recline back and it's like but they had to take out like 2 rows of seats to fit those, so you're paying the difference so they can make the same amount of money for a filled theater. Mm-hmm. It's fucking ridiculous. Support your small locally owned theaters.
Our small locally owned theater will charge $7.50 for a ticket because they serve food, and I'll get to eat chicken tenders or a burger and watch some dog shit like Hypnotic.
Do they do burgers?
They do some amount of like not like a classic hamburger, but it'll be like chicken on a thing or whatever. I swear.
Chicken sandwiches. They do hot dogs.
Yeah.
Like buffalo wings or something.
Something.
Yeah, no, that's a fun theater. Also, the one over by the ferry terminal.
I was there last night.
Oh, is that? Oh.
They didn't have the Godzilla cup. They had the King Kong cup.
So you're reaching over the counter at the little 16-year-old Dave that is shaking. Where's my Godzilla cup?
No, so the person that went in front of me, he wanted the Kong cup. He's a mutual of ours who's a known monkey lover.
Okay.
And so he got the cup, and I said, yo, do they have the Godzilla one? And he asks for me because I'm next in line. And the dude behind the counter goes, no, everyone wanted the Godzilla ones. We just got Kongs. And I said, I'm going to kill myself loudly in the theater. And then I walk up and he was like, sorry, man. And I was like, don't worry. I'm not actually, I'm just going to see a movie. I'm not actually torn up about a little plastic Godzilla cup. I'll make it through the evening.
I still got that giant fucking TMNT cup from the other theater, and they're upcharging me.
Upcharging?
Yeah, it used to be like, oh, you buy the big cup and you can come in for like $1 for a refill. So like I bring that big cup every time we go to that theater, and it's like $1. And then they were like, boss says we have to start charging like the same as like a small drink for that, which is like $3. They tripled the price of my big sippy.
I also got one of those big cups for TMNT, and it sits on the floor of my car, and I've never used it. So I don't know why I paid $10 for it. I fill it with water.
I genuinely, like, I just wanted a piece of memorabilia from that movie because I do think that movie goes hard. The TMNT movie from last year.
Yeah, I'd watch it again.
That was one of the first times I think that we just went to see a movie
together.
And that was a good day.
Was that something start of all this shit?
Oh, it might have been.
Oh.
What were we talking about?
We're talking about how Fall Guy, you had a great time alone.
Yeah.
Which is so like I'm assuming the humor was landing for you.
Yes.
Ryan Gosling's funny.
Yes, and handsome.
Both of these are true. David Leitch, I read an article in the New Yorker. Their current cinema piece I read.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, both of these movies got reviews in the New Yorker. One of them makes sense. Fall Guy doesn't. But I guess it's the big blockbuster that's out right now.
I don't know what stipulates being in the New Yorker's.
Well, it's just like, it's like a foofy, like classically like upper scale, like what's going on in New York newspaper or like magazine publisher.
Fall Guy.
Yeah, and so like they will review like
it takes place in Australia.
Independent. Well, I'm saying the newspaper itself or the magazine itself. Anyway.
Yeah, but if it's supposed to be like what's going on,
they have like segments that are about what's going on. But anyway, they pointed out. They said David Leitch constructs exactly his type of movie from his perspective. So he was a stuntman, so he makes movies about stunts.
Yeah.
And so even if you don't love the movie, like I don't, it's so clear in what it wants to be that there's not a ton of like, why is this here? Or like wasted. Like it's just like we're going to do, in this case, romance scenes and stunts. Romance scene, stunt, romance scene, stunt. Romance scene, the movie's over.
There's gonna be some overlap. Like there was the scene when he snuck into her trailer, and it's like we're gonna do some stunts with the romantic couple.
Yeah, but like we're just gonna do that back and forth, and I'm gonna have a good time. I like it when movies like you're saying. It makes sense actually that you love. If you're saying the most important thing is I have fun during a movie,
yeah.
It makes sense that you would love movies like this because you're a simple-minded fool. Now to watch The Seventh Seal.
No, because I mean, like last year I watched The House That Jack Built.
I haven't seen that yet. I'm just gonna watch that probably like this, like through my eyes, just like, oh my god, help them!
Why are they in the freezer? They're gonna get cold.
Is he putting people in freezers in that movie?
Yeah, the house that Jack built is a stack of frozen bodies in a freezer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the house that he built.
Freaky.
No, I legitimately, like, I think there could be something there for you and a couple other people, like, within our, I mean, like the people, like, in our group chat that we go see movies with and stuff, like.
Yeah, I think someone saw it. One or two people saw it and liked it.
Yeah, like, I think, I remember I put it up on Letterboxd, and you sent me, I don't know if you put a comment under my review or if you would like DM me like, you sick little fuck.
It's also you who don't really like horror.
Yeah.
And then like that goes up and I'm just like, huh? Like, is he having a really good day or a really bad day? Is he fighting his fears or is he just like, it's over?
I want to be just like him. Which, the house that Jack built, I'm going to put that on the list of if this is his favorite movie, run.
Okay. But yeah, so no, it was just interesting to think about. So I'm watching Fall Guy and I'm like, yeah, you like it's funny, action, stunts. I'm able to enjoy that. What I don't enjoy is the meta humor that goes on too long.
It didn't always land with me. I think when we were talking about it pre-recording, you were talking about specifically the split cut.
Yeah.
She
says, as the director, Emily Blunt calls Ryan Gosling because they're sort of rekindling their romance. And she says, I'm thinking about doing a split screen between the two characters. And then, of course, it does a split screen between Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. And then the whole time, the phone conversation is about what a split screen means. And showing people at different points in life, showing people this, that, showing the disconnect, this. But it's literal. They're explaining it. And that's the joke. The joke is they're explaining what's happening on screen. But it's like 3.5 minutes long.
It is not that long.
It's long.
Okay, I will cop to maybe 2 minutes. It is not over 3 minutes.
Well, the joke pays off immediately. Yeah. So it's 5 seconds and I understand it. And then 2 minutes is an eternity.
My counterpoint to that is that this plays into the relationship of the characters. Beyond just the meta commentary of explaining a match cut, we are visually still also using the match cut as it's intended, because for a brief moment they're on the same page because they're discussing the match cut. Because the
split screen.
Yeah, sorry, the split screen. Fuck. They're talking about the split screen, and the context is that she asks, it's like, hey, if I want to bounce an idea off you, can I call you? And he's like, yeah, sure, absolutely, because he wants to rekindle, and she's thinking like maybe because the two ghosts of the movie emotionally is that the relationship fell apart, and that Ryan Gosling's character had a stunt mishap and broke his back. And so he was really down on himself in his recovery. He felt like he, let the whole movie down because of an accident that wasn't even his fault. That I can understand that from the perspective of a stuntman, but like in the moment watching the movie, I'm like, why would he think it's his fault? Like, why would he feel like he let people down? It's like, I mean, they probably went overtime, over budget, having to wait for him to get better or reshoot some of the...
I don't even think that. I think it's just if your job is to get knocked down and get up, and then you don't get up, you're down on yourself.
Yeah, because I fell 8 stories.
People don't think realistically.
No, yeah,
that.
In hindsight, I understood it, but so he left, like he just dropped off the face of the earth, and so that's why she's really hesitant to rekindle the relationship, because he basically ghosted her, and things were going really well. So he's excited, it's like, yeah, if you want to bounce any ideas off me, please feel free to call. So for a brief moment, they're on the same page with the split screen because they're talking about it. They're working through stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying I get it. I get it emotionally, why it matters to the characters.
But the
joke is that it's two. It's emotionally, it's relevant to the two characters.
Yeah.
As they explain the joke. Because the joke is we're talking about a split screen while doing a split screen.
But you're treating it like the joke is 2 minutes long.
It is, because the split screen's 2 minutes long. And they keep talking about the split screen.
But the emotional relevancy is tied into the conversation with the split screen, so cutting it off would detract from the point of it. If you cut it off just after the moment of, see, here's a split screen, the joke's over, we're moving on, because the relevancy is in the split screen, and the split screen only ends when the disconnect happens, when she says, actually, I had a better idea, and hangs up the phone.
Yeah. I think even with that emotion, that actually could happen a minute sooner. I don't think it needs to be 2 minutes no matter what. I wasn't feeling that. But maybe I wasn't connecting to the romance. I don't really connect to romance movies in general. And so, like, I'll watch them, and I don't mind it, but and there was other moments like that where they just... It happens in like every movie about making movies where at some point they just start talking about making the movie, and I'm like, I get it.
My least favorite joke in the movie, this repetitive joke, was, what are we going to do about our third act? We're having issues with the third act.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, okay, that means it's a meta joke where like the movie itself is gonna have a really messy third act. I don't think it did have a messy third act, but it's one of those things where it felt like, okay, I'm waiting for the big payoff for whatever this third act is gonna be.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I every time they said third act, my smile disappeared for 2 seconds, and then I was smiling again. It was this Pavlovian response.
So Fall Guy is really, like, we've only talked about the romance because the action ends up being Ryan Gosling has to find Aaron Taylor Johnson, Tom Ryder, the like movie star he stunt doubles for, but not really. Like, it's not an action movie all that much. So he's doing action scenes.
It's more of like it plays more like a mystery almost. It's like, because they're unlayering.
And there's only really one. There's that car chase that's kind of the big fight scene, action scene, but there isn't really a ton outside of that.
There's a lot of really good stunt work in the third act, but a lot of it is designed to be, there's actually not going to be any danger because we're doing stunts. Oh, the helicopter at the end. Which
it all seems like meta, but in a way that it's a movie directed by an ex-stuntman about a stuntman.
Yeah.
They're going to have stunts all over that bitch.
Yeah.
So it made sense, and that was enjoyable. I'll say this. He was the stuntman for Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And he was a stuntman for Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Two really good stars.
Equal measure. Jean-Claude Van Damme, the dog in this movie is named Jean-Claude.
Yeah.
Because of JCVD. David Leitch is in a JCVD movie as an actor. And it's like the early role he has in 2001. It's a movie called The Order. It takes place in Israel.
Okay.
But I'm now wondering if he also did a little bit of second unit directing on JCVD movies, like From Hell and I think Replicant.
Isn't From Hell
or In Hell? Sorry,
okay, From Hell's like a Johnny Depp movie about
it's called In Hell, but I'm good.
From Hell, In Hell double feature.
It's the hell is the connecting, but I'm now wondering if that was what he got him his start to like direct a little, that second unit stuff.
A lot of these like straight to VHS, straight to DVD.
It's specifically those, because why would Jean-Claude get a nod in this movie if it wasn't like,
maybe he just had fun. Maybe Jean-Claude Van Damme is a really cool guy behind the scenes and they're still friends.
I hope so. He seems really cool on Instagram.
He seems really cool on my little black mirror that keeps me informed on the world, and the New Yorker lies to me through it.
I know. Don't shit on Tom Cruise, New Yorker. All right. You liked Fall Guy a lot.
I did like Fall Guy a lot. I don't want to move on. Can we stay here a little bit longer?
I thought Fall Guy was mid but enjoyable. The worst Ryan Gosling can do is be enjoyable to watch.
You know what else you know what I thought was mid?
What?
Challengers.
I know. Surprising. Because I liked it. I didn't love it.
It seems like the people that we went to see it with loved it.
Yes.
Every review I was seeing was like, I creamed. I left with the biggest boner of my life. That's an actual review I read.
Where?
Like friend of a friend on Letterboxd.
Oh, okay.
Literally.
Stranger.
Like, no, like I know this person, but I wouldn't consider them a friend because we've never hung out socially.
Okay.
But like,
that's really funny to not know someone but know of them and be like, I know when your boner popped in a theater.
No, because like we've worked together on sets before. And literally the review word for word from them is, I left with the biggest boner.
Okay. Well, I didn't, but it's an enjoyable movie. I like, again, I'm going to put Luca Guadagnino, whatever his last name is. It's like Guadagnino or Guadagnino.
Guadalajara.
Our Luca of Guadalajara.
Luca, Mexico.
I've seen two other of his movies.
Which ones?
Call Me By Your Name.
Okay.
And Bones and All.
Have not seen either of those.
So one stars a cannibal and one's about cannibalism.
No, I forgot.
That Army Hammer eats people?
I forgot that Army Hammer was in Call Me By, because I just think of it as like
Timmy Chalamet's in both of them.
Yeah, really? Because
Yeah.
I think of Call Me by Your Name as Timothy Chalamet's big breakout as like a lead.
Yeah, and he's in Bones and All as
okay.
not the lead, but as the second, the love interest, basically.
Okay.
But Call Me by Your Name was, speaking of romance movies, maybe the first romance movie I ever watched.
Really?
I don't watch them.
Yeah.
And I put it on because I'd heard good things, and Army Hammer eats people, and so I was like, I got to check this out.
That's a weird connection. You want to speak on that?
And I think I'd just seen Dune, so I was like, I got to see this Chalamet and some other stuff.
Chalamet?
Timmy Chalamet.
I don't think he would want to be called that.
I don't think he has the power to stop me.
He strikes me as a kind of guy that if you don't call him Timothy, like he doesn't go by a nickname at all.
Okay. Well, I think he's malnourished and raised on like whey protein that's not giving him enough. Like like the protein powder, but just like they inject him with stuff.
I think he was grown in a jar and they should have just left him there.
So I think I could tear him in half like a wet napkin.
I could do that. And I'm smaller than you.
We'll quarter him. I'll grab the legs and you grab the arms.
And we'll pull in 4 different directions.
Exactly.
Whoever gets the larger bit of the midsection, make a wish.
I wish Chalamet didn't live. Oh. No, I don't hate him, actually. You do, but I don't. So I watched it and I was like, oh, I've never seen a movie like this, where nothing happens. We're just doing shots of the Italian countryside as 2 men rub each other's shoulders. There's no graphic sex. It's implied. And then it moved on. But I was like, it's actually an enjoyable movie. It's a good movie. And this Luca cat can fucking frame a shot. This is gorgeous. Then I saw Bones and All, which is about cannibalism. So I was even more excited. And
you want to speak on that?
It wasn't at all what I thought it was going to be. And I was like, there's just no plot. So these shots look good sometimes. And this is like interesting characters. But like a story has to have an ending at some point. You can't just, nothing happens.
This isn't French New Wave.
It better not be. And then, so going in, I had one that I was not my genre, but I was like enjoyable. And one that I thought I'd like more, but I was like, I didn't know what to think about Challengers. But I was interested. This is cinematography. This is my favorite of those 3.
The cinematography is fucking fantastic in this movie. This movie looks incredible.
And I don't know if he works with the same DP every time. I don't know. But I'm seeing a consistency in his movies, so it's enough for me to give him credit for it as well, for signing off. Because just like scenes of sweat dripping, muscles contracting, bruises on arms, or even just the fucking green of the tennis court, and I'm like, yeah, just hold on to that shot for a second.
Which I think could also, like, this movie, for being just full of the whitest assholes wearing white clothes, like, this movie could have had a really, like, nothing palette. I think the coloring on this movie, just talking about like also in the post-production, editing in this movie is fantastic. The color correction is fantastic. The sound design is so good. Everything in this movie came together, I think, in a really interesting way. I just wish I could have connected with it.
That's color palette's something like even Bones and All in my memory. I'd have to, sometimes there's shots that are almost like muted pastels. Like there's this scene where they're in these like rolling green fields and it's just like the green and the blue, but they're both a little muted and it looks like something you could have done with like a pastel.
I love pastels.
Like, yeah. And it's not the whole movie by my memory, but it's one of those things where it's like, even if you dislike a movie, any movie that looks like this, you're like, damn. Like I can at least look at stills and be like, and so sounds like that's where the movie was succeeding for you. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Yeah,
it definitely kept my attention. Like the editing kept my attention. Nothing really felt like it overstayed its welcome. At certain points, I was thinking, we get it. This scene might be. Why is this here? Why isn't this here? Why is it edited or presented this way? But for the most part, everything they were showing me, I was able to it was able to visually keep my attention, like a toddler with plastic keys.
Jingle keys me for Mr. Italy.
Is that what Luca is? Is he the Italian French New Wave?
Isn't there the Italian New Wave exists though? It was just
But they made interesting movies.
Did they?
No, okay. So my issue with Challenge, because I feel like we're dancing around it, because this movie has reviewed extremely well.
Yeah.
I gave this movie like 2 out of 5 stars, like a 4 out of 10, and I have since bumped it up to a 5 out of 10 because it's not below average. This movie, if anything, is above average and is only detracted by... I see what they're going for with the Always Sunny approach, where we're gonna make despicable characters. That's like the go-to despicable characters that are interesting to watch.
Okay.
There's no good people in the main crew of Always Sunny.
No, I know.
How have they been going on for double-digit seasons? Because they're interesting to watch. It's well written.
It is well written.
Every character in this movie, in my opinion, except maybe the daughter because she has no agency, is despicable. I genuinely don't like any character in this movie, but none of them none of them were even interesting to watch. I did not care.
Wow.
Like, you see people making like the worst choices, and yeah, you could follow the train of logic of, okay, I see why you're doing this, or I see the train of logic, but it's presented in such a grounded, realistic fashion where I'm just thinking like, this is only going to end poorly, and they're going to try and bleed sympathy out of us, trying to bleed empathy out of us for like, oh no, my bad decisions had bad consequences. Fucking good, die mad about it.
Jesus. So Challengers is a movie, just really quickly, about 3 people. There's 2 boys and Zendaya, and the 2 boys do duos tennis together. It's how they are, and they grew up together, and they're going into singles tennis, which I guess is where the money is. I don't know shit about tennis. And we are cutting between the present and the past. In the past, they're friends who both become infatuated with Zendaya, who's a rising tennis star of her own. And then the present, where they are now playing a final sort of low, like high emotional stakes, low physical stakes, low financial stakes match, because one of the boys went on to be successful. The other one sort of burned out. The burnout has more talent and less discipline. The successful one has way more discipline and less talent. He married Zendaya, even though she originally was with the first boy, and her career ended because her leg blew out tragically. And so she's now her husband's manager. And coach. And so he needs to succeed because he's thinking about retiring. The burnout needs to succeed to prove he was always better, or he could have been better. And Zendaya's sort of caught between the 2 of them.
Is she really caught between the 2 of them? I got the impression.
I'm just saying, like, in the storyline, she's bouncing between the 2.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Just for like a quick synopsis.
Yeah.
But as far as emotionally, she's very much, they're caught connected to her.
Yeah. And she is, the way that I interpreted her character was, she is incapable of love. And she even makes it a point at one point, it's like, oh, the other boy doesn't love you. And she's like, did I fucking say I needed him to love me? I don't, she's not looking for that.
No.
Which, completely reasonable and fine, but she's manipulative in a way where all she wants out of a relationship with either of these boys is the career she never got, because her leg blew out in like college, didn't it? She was never able to go pro.
She actually, a big early point is one of the boys is going straight pro. One of them is going college, then pro. She chooses college and then pro, and then loses everything in college. And she even makes a comment early on where she's like, a degree, like, you go to college for more than just sports. Like, she wants a backup plan and she ends up needing it.
I don't want my only skill in life to be hitting a ball with a racket.
But then it turns out, in a sense, that is her only skill, because she's just a manager of a tennis thing. And so she's just raising someone to hit a ball with a racket. So it's an ironic, but So you don't find her character of someone who committed wholeheartedly to something and lost it all. You don't find any, you said like trying to bleed sympathy out of, you don't find that sympathetic in the slightest.
I find the tragedy in her not being able to go pro sympathetic.
Yes.
Not being able to fulfill your dreams. I find that genuinely heartbreaking. I don't think that is excuse enough for everything that she does afterwards.
I'm not saying excusing it, but understanding it. The idea that you would lose everything, and when she loses, she ends up, she loses everything after breaking up with the first boy she was with, the dark-haired one. So then she connects to the blonde one. And then 13 years later, you know, whatever it is, they have a child together and they're married. She's realizing she probably married the one she connected to less. That to me is sympathetic in the sense that at her lowest moment, she made a decision that she committed to because she committed to tennis wholeheartedly. She loses that. She commits to his career wholeheartedly because he's disciplined. And so she can train him. And in the time training him, they've met up, they have a child, they move on, or like they're together now. 10 years later, she realizes all that commitment hasn't fulfilled her because he starts losing. What fulfills her wasn't him. What fulfills her was him winning, because him winning, like you said, is her winning. That's sympathetic to me. Not justifiable in her actions, where she ends up like she's cheating on him in a way multiple times implied with the original boy. But understandable in the sense that I can't expect anyone to be good or perfect. And so she's behaving exactly in the way that she always does, in her flaws and her strengths.
Okay.
And I connected to that. I connected to someone that committed.
Okay. Yeah, no, I understand that. I just wasn't able to make that connection. When, just as an example from the movie, I think because emotionally, I think she definitely has like two lowest points. Lowest point when she's in college, blows out her knee. And then towards the end of the movie, she sneaks out of the hotel room, and basically there's a long conversation with the other guy about, like, you know, okay, I guess setting this up, before they went to bed, she basically told her husband, if you don't beat him, you know, your longtime friend, rival, whatever, if you don't beat him, I will divorce you. Which, that's fucking sociopathic behavior. Either fucking divorce him or don't. Don't let it ride on a fucking tennis game, which again is part of her character.
Right.
And tennis is so, I get that. Tennis is that important to her. But that just speaks volumes of how not important her family is.
Yeah.
Like 100, like if you, I get not being able to like, there are people who have kids and aren't emotionally ready for it. There are people who have kids, give them up, want them back later. It is, being a parent, outside looking in, being a parent is a fucking roller coaster. Some days there might be genuine regret. There might be like, this child is sapping up so much of my life, my time, everything is over for me. There are probably really good days of this child is the best. You hear it all the time of being a parent is the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, but don't let your entire family unit ride on a game unassociated with you, because the parents, they do tennis.
Yeah.
I guess my issue is no work-life balance. That's my moral here, is no work-life balance.
But isn't that the point of the movie? Isn't the point of the movie like sex, love, jobs, careers, future and past, all rides on the tennis match?
That is something I did want to bring up, because we were talking about Fall Guy being mismarketed as an action movie when really it's a romance movie. I think Challengers was mismarketed as a sexy kind of throuple movie. Like there was a lot of that implied in the fucking. This movie's not sexy at all. I want to say that right here now because everybody's creaming their jorts over this fucking movie. This movie is not sexy. It's not like even in the scenes that are meant to be sexy, it's very clearly a control thing. Like she very early on realizes the power that she has over these boys, and that plays in her favor so much throughout the movie.
And so when you said the scenes that are supposed to be sexy aren't sexy, what are the scenes that are supposed to be sexy? Because real quickly, I disagree with you. I think this movie's sexy. But I'll talk about what I think is sexy in the movie.
Boys kissing.
But first I want to know, you said the scenes that are supposed to be sexy. What are they?
The scenes that are supposed to be sexy are... we'll say like the first time they see her playing tennis.
Okay.
And which, maybe it's just that I'm not super into sports and I don't find athletics sexy, but like her playing incredible at tennis. The funniest shot in the movie to me was them like kind of like, they're almost like arm in arm leaning back and they both have like half chub boners.
Yes. I thought that was really funny.
That was so funny.
And they're looking back and forth, and the music's like, brrrr. It's like a boner comedy frat boys. Like they're 1 second away from going, awooga, when they see her.
Respectfully, madam, awooga.
Exact. That part was funny to me.
But like, I think that's what, like all of the close-ups on, I think we mentioned this before, that what Luca finds sexy isn't necessarily like typical sexy, because you mentioned like he'll do close-ups on muscles, on bruises, on the sport itself. Like I don't find sports sexy. And then there's the scene in the hotel room where they're talking about like, oh, which one of us is gonna have sex with Tashi, which one of us, and she shows up and there's this thing of like she's kissing both of them, and this was like a very heavy scene that it was marketed on.
Yeah, this scene was in everything. I think the stills of this scene were the first thing released for this movie.
Yeah, and it looks very much like a throuple movie, and it ends with her like tricking the boys into kissing each other. Like there's this thing of all three of them trying to kiss three mouth to mouth, and it's like, oh, that I don't want to look at that.
Really? So I think the muscles contracting, the bruises, all that stuff is filmed sexy. Okay. And because he's such a good cinematographer, he imbues it with a romance and a sexiness.
So he's romanticizing sort of the pain that goes into being good at what you want to be great at.
The pain, the effort, the both realism and the benefits of athleticism, I guess. So like you'll see their legs as they walk, and you'll see their calf muscles like bulging because they've worked them out, and then they contract, and it's like almost a throbbing, which is a word that's thrown around in sexy stuff.
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah, yeah, throb for me, boys,
gentlemen, throb.
So you got to leave the theater.
It's you talking to the concessions people.
Where's the Godzilla cup?
Throb for me, Godzilla.
But I don't know that the scene of them being infatuated with her initially was supposed to be her being sexy. I think it's her being committed and driven, and like maybe her commitment and her strength and her power enthralls them, and it's sexy in that regard. Not like the literal is sexy, but more like you're talking about the power. But as far as romantic sexy, we're using sexy in a couple different ways. But
yeah,
like,
believe it or not, sexy isn't just penis and butt. Blowing my mind and several other things.
I think it's supposed to be believe it or not, homoerotic. I think the romantic part of that scene is supposed to be them arm in arm getting chubs together. And I think it's supposed to be, I'm not even joking, a little bit sweet. I think the boys next to each other hanging out, anytime they're kissing, getting hard, is supposed to be like sweet in the sense that it's them burgeoning into like adulthood together.
There is the story of like in the hotel room scene, it's like we went to boarding school together and I taught him how to masturbate.
Right. And I think all of that is this. I'm trying to word this in a way that doesn't make me sound like a freak, but I guess everyone likes this movie. I think the sweetness of their relationship is more where the sexiness is focused. Because it's all about a tennis match between the two of them.
Yeah.
And she has power over them. We've spent this whole time talking about her because she's that domineering force in the movie. But any like romanticism, any of the sexiness comes from their muscles, their bodies, and their connections, or their connection, their lack of a connection as they try to connect to her. Because like there's one time where she's like in her underwear, and he's in boxers as well. She gets up. They like stop having sex because he's not driven anymore. He's like, does everything have to be about tennis? And she's like, no. And she immediately loses her sex drive. She's just going to start working out. And she just starts doing like athletics and everything.
Oh, we're talking about in the dorm room.
Yeah. But she's more dressed than he is. He's in these boxers and this shirt that says, I told you so, that very clearly looks like
Just do it.
But also like the boyfriend shirt. She's wearing it because it's that oversized boyfriend fit, but he puts it on and it's baggy on him. And so he looks like the dude thrown out into the night.
Yeah.
And he's wearing it at later points because he's the ostracized boyfriend and he's connecting in attempting to trying to connect to her, but also just like he's the lonely boy. He needs the other boy. And so when they play their match together, all the romance is between their exertion with each other. And when they're hitting the ball, they're going, that's intentional.
That is so intentional. I was having a hard time keeping it together in the theater.
What do you mean? You're popping a boomerang or you're just laughing?
Laughing.
Oh, okay.
No, like the intentional grunts of exertion as they're whacking balls. That's what's happening.
I know.
There's very clearly double entendre happening.
The whole movie is double entendre. Double entendre is what they call it when two boys fall in love with the same woman.
No, I definitely think there's more like romantic crux on their relationship.
Yeah.
100%. I do think they let a girl get between one of the most beautiful relationships ever put to screen.
And so when he pulls off his shirt, he's got those Uniqlo shirts he keeps pulling off. Mm-hmm. He's stretching in the dappled sunlight. We're seeing muscles and sweat and everything. You don't find that sexy at all.
No. Maybe I just don't find the cast members like I'm not sexually attracted to the cast members. It could just be that I don't find like I think that they find each other attractive. Mm-hmm. I believe everything I'm seeing. Believe it or not, I believe tennis is real.
I believe y'all are gay as hell. This movie sucks.
No, I don't even think this movie sucks. I just don't think I would have to rewatch it. I'm going to rewatch this movie. This isn't like I didn't like it. I'm not treating this like Interstellar, where it's like I didn't like it and I'm not gonna rewatch it to prove myself wrong.
Okay.
No, I will rewatch Challengers at some point just to see if I get it, because like I didn't find it sexy. To finish my thought, I mentioned.
Which one? We've been going for a minute.
Well, I mentioned that she had like 2 low emotional points. Mm-hmm. The first one was blowing out her knee and losing like
her career.
The other one was she sneaks out, talk to the other guy, her ex, and basically they have arguments and there's a whole like actually really interesting, conversation that takes place, but it inevitably ends up with I will sleep with you if you throw the game, like this is the interaction we're having.
But that's not a real exchange they make. They're going to sleep together regardless. She's using that as the excuse.
Well,
is how I took that.
Yes, but the emotional crux that I'm talking about comes from when they let it go all the way to tiebreaker match. There's this brief exchange that they have. You can see where Tashi and Zweig, the ex-boyfriend, they
holy shit, you know their names. I've been calling them Boy and Zendaya.
Yeah, no, it's like Andrew Zweig, Tashi Duncan,
Patrick something?
Yeah, maybe
Patrick Clark?
It might be. No, I feel like you're fucking with me. You have a half smile that makes me feel like you're fucking with me.
Art?
Oh, it was Arthur something, I think.
Art something.
Yeah. Art Clark.
Michael Clark Duncan.
If he was in this movie, it'd be 8 times better. Is he? I think he passed away though.
You need to defeat Michael Clark Duncan.
What? Mortal Kombat. But he's in the like Planet of the Apes remake outfit. He's just this huge gorilla man.
Was he in that?
Yeah, he plays like the leader of like the monkey colony that what's his name?
Marky Mark?
Marky Mark like finds.
Nice.
And he's a devout Christian.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, they make the monkey a Christian. He's like bow your, like at a dinner scene. He's like, bow your heads. We're gonna like say grace, and everybody's kind of looking around. He slams. He's like, bow your heads.
Do they pray to Monkey Jesus
I don't know.
or regular Jesus?
Tim Burton had a vision for that movie, and I'll let you know what it is once mine comes back. But no, so the low emotional point for her is when she's not sure if Andrew Zweig is going to throw the game, because she could have literally just thrown it all away for nothing. She cheats on her husband, is going to divorce him anyway because he's going to lose the match, because it feels like she might not want to divorce him. So it's like, hey, I need you to throw the match so I don't have to. You know, and maybe she is playing it up. Like maybe they are going to sleep together anyway. I don't know. I'd have to watch it again. I do know that when I went to see this in theater, I was not alone. In fact, there was probably 7 or 8 people in the theater when I saw this, including an elderly couple taking their granddaughter, and they left about 20 minutes left in the movie. They stayed for a majority of it and then left with 20 minutes left to go.
That's crazy, because the last 20 minutes of this movie are locked the fuck in.
The last 20 minutes, the only part about the like third act I did not like was so the editing goes hard. The cinematography goes hard. I'm a fan of so much of the like final tennis match, except for the POV shot where you are the tennis ball. You're the tennis ball going back and forth.
Do you like the POV shot where you are the player?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't like the ball.
I don't like that one because that is the most like this feel. Regardless of any editing tricks, you could tell that part was CGI, and that did kind of take me out of it. And then it like comes up to like a crane shot above the pitch, and I was like, like that went hard, but it also felt jarring to me.
I liked it because it just felt so different that it was like, now we're going. Like we had a lot of flashbacks and stuff like that. Gear up for tennis, and they're just like,
yeah, enough sex. It's time for tennis.
Tennis is sex, if you believe this movie.
No, according to Tashi Duncan, the main character of this movie, which I believe she's the main character of this movie, she all of her decisions are the driving force.
Yeah.
If you believe her, and this is highlighted in my Letterboxd review, tennis is a relationship. If that's the case, go to couples therapy. Don't bet it all on tennis.
Couples therapy won't help these people. Someone telling them that you've spent your life focusing on the wrong thing wouldn't save these people. They'd just ignore the therapist.
I say execute all of them.
I think that's the thing. I love these characters because, sure, they're all making bad decisions, but it all makes sense with the decisions they've made. They committed themselves to tennis or like to one thing, and they try in their each way to succeed at it, and it's the most important thing in their life.
They are ride or die on just the worst decisions.
And that's relatable. Says 2 film school graduates.
It says 1. I'm not sold on this movie. I am going to rewatch it. Like once it hits streaming, what streaming service do we think this is going to go up on?
HBO.
Damn, I don't have that one.
I do. You can use mine. Oh wait, no, it's going to go on Prime because it was funded by Prime.
Damn, there goes my free HBO.
You can have my login.
Yeah.
It's my dad's login.
Hell yeah.
What don't you have streaming services?
HBO and Paramount are probably like the 2 big ones.
Okay, I think I have both of those. But I love Challengers. The more I talk about it, the more I like it. I'm going to rewatch it.
We can rewatch it together and pop boners together as we watch them play.
Oh,
I will say the last shot of the movie,
It's so good.
When they come right up to the net together and they embrace in the moment in the theater, I was not buying it. I was a little upset. Hindsight, I'm just an asshole. That was so sweet. Hindsight, I'm looking back, I'm like, no. The way that Zweig he dropped his racket and Art is coming up over the net to spike it. And in that moment, Art, the fight or flight response said, I'm going to embrace him.
Yeah.
It was like a biblical painting.
He says, I'll die for it. And the other one says, no, he won't. I'll save you. And then we see the girl cut to black. And we just hold for that one extra second on black where you think it's going to start fading up on a where are they now? And instead we cut to credits because the movie's over because it's only been about that match. You don't know where those characters are going after that. Beautiful.
Yeah, no, I will say this movie...
Chef's kiss.
The last...
Boy's kiss. One for each.
You heard it here first from me. The last 20 seconds of this movie are enjoyable.
Boo.
I'm not gonna speak. I'm gonna detract a lot of. I'm gonna go back on a lot of what I was saying before. You know, I just didn't get it the first time I watched it. I'll have to go back and rewatch it, see how I feel about it. Finally understanding what it is, because I think like that is the interesting connection here. You went into Fall Guy with the preconceived notion of I'm gonna see an action movie, and it just didn't click for you because it was a romance movie with action. I went into Challengers like, okay, this is going to be the sexy tennis movie that you know, we'll see where this goes. And it's like, oh no, everybody here actually sucks. Oh no.
That's true. I was like, let's fight. And then they're just like, he broke up with me. And then you're going in and you're like, let's see some crazy throuple. And I'm thinking about leaving my husband.
Yeah, so this might not even be truly, because like both movies aren't doing bad at the box office. One of them's...
Fall Guy's doing bad.
Is it really?
It's debuted incredibly low. It was the lowest summer opening in a long time.
But
it's also the first year without a Marvel movie or a sequel in like 20 years.
To be fair, we're not going into summer though. It's only May.
They consider that the first summer box.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. I would consider it spring, but what do I know? But this might be just an interesting, very specific double feature where it's just like, these are two movies we saw in theater and each movie, one of us liked and the other one was like, I was sold on a different movie.
Well, we'll call it either Box Office Bomb Squad or double feature. We get to make the rules. It's our show. If you don't like it, consider this. Cut the feed.